Good day, everybody. It's the 7th of October, 2023. First, I'll show you this old beauty here. 1970, 72 or 70 something or other. Old Volga, Russian car. And yeah, it's also Vladimir Putin's birthday, 71 years old. The car, I think, because I saw the guy getting out, he said it's 44 years old. So do the math. I can't do it so well in my head right now. I have to count my fingers to figure out what year that was built. So also I'll show you. Look, I'm standing by a stadium, Stadion Torpedo, which means torpedo in English. That's a windy day. Not super cold, but it's cold. Very windy, and I hope you can hear me very well. You know, the wind blowing. And my hair's a mess today. Bad hair day. Yeah, and the world is really getting crazy right now. I'll talk about torpedoes in a minute too. You know, not so much about torpedoes, but a lot of what this broadcast is going to be about today is about a missile. But you know, that kind of mirrors it's some of these new missiles by Russia, and they've already got a missile that parallels that, which is a torpedo. Actually, it's an underwater missile. The Poseidon, we call it, I guess, in English, or maybe that's even the Russian word. And it's a it's a missile with its own nuclear reactor, so it's really formidable. There's some big apartment building over here. Thought I'd show it to you. But anyway, we get into that. I guess the big story, and I guess I have to jump ahead because it came in after I was writing my notes, and let me skip ahead and maybe go through that a little bit earlier, because that's probably more like what's current, and everybody is listening for this kind of news right now. It is what is going on in Israel and Palestine. So it's at least a change from the usual news about what's going on in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia. Maybe in a lot of, the fake news that sometimes takes precedent, like Russian economy is in tatters and all that stuff. I should mention something about that. I didn't write it in my notes, but apparently I did write something about Germany. Germany's economy, or their manufacturing capabilities, are right now the worst in the world. So they are sinking more than any country in the world, and I guess Austria matches that, which we're not even ever talking about Austria, but that's the case. And guess which country, and it's not China, which country is expanding the most? Which country's manufacturing not potential, capacity or output, which country's manufacturing output is expanding more than any country on earth right now? Manufacturing, it's Russia. Russia is quite a bit ahead of the others. It's quite a bit ahead of Kazakhstan, which, believe it or not, is in second place, a country that most Americans probably hardly ever heard of. And the United States is sort of in the middle, just a little bit above average. And I think they're in the minus. But of course, Germany is really deep in the minus. They're really losing their manufacturing industrial capacity, as if you couldn't guess. So the mere fact that they are not getting cheap energy anymore is exacerbated by the fact that a lot of industry is closing down. It's just incredible. A lot of things closing down in Germany, a lot of things already left and went to the United States. And probably the one reason why the United States is not way down there as well, I mean, at least very close to the bottom, is because of a lot of the German industry has already been relocated to the United States. And of course, that takes finances to rebuild and refit and things like that. And I guess you could say Olena, just like I mentioned in the last video, Olena Zelensky is helping the United States as well by spending $1,100,000 on jewelry just walking into a place. So that probably helps in industry a little bit. Gosh. Makes you want, that was just on jewelry. I wonder what she paid for in clothing. And of course, whatever she bought with clothes, and I guess she's a big spendthrift when it comes to clothes as well, then she probably is helping the garment industry in the United States, you know, the textiles. And the girl that got fired, I guess she's from Africa, and she'd only been there a couple of weeks, and she was trying to be overly courteous to Elena Zelensky, and Elena Zelensky apparently, at least according to how this woman, this young girl sounded, and of course she said her life is ruined now because she had just come to the US and just, you know, and needs the work, and Elena Zelensky had her fired from her job because she didn't like her tone. Ah, yes, I've been there too. So anyway, let's go. How did you sidetrack me? I was wanting to talk about Palestine and Israel. So I wrote a lot of this stuff down. So let's see what's going on here. Just before this video, you know, Hamas, who is leading this uprising, is holding 35 prisoners, combination of military soldiers as well as settlers. They're holding them like hostages, and obviously that can fluctuate very quickly, and it's very easy to get hostages with, in some situation like that. And of course it's very easy for Israel too, just walk out the front door and start grabbing people, especially when you have such military capacity like that. But I don't know, really. So let's get into the cause. Hamas has stated that the main reason for the uprising is to defend the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, which Israel continually disrespects and desecrates, which is very true. And they've been doing that for quite some time. And I believe that was Netanyahu. Oh gosh, I'm just going back in the days. Or was it Sharon? Sharon, I think it was the former leader. He, you know, a lot of these people that are leaders in Israel were at one point military, and a lot of them are very, well, let's just say the word, they're racist. They're racist. They don't like these Arab people. And was it Sharon, who was the prime minister before Netanyahu? He at one time, he had went to, I don't know if it was Al-Aqsa, but some other place, and he and some soldiers, you know, he was heavily protected, and they started peeing on the mosque. So, you know, and that started an intifada. I think that was the second intifada. But this is obviously an intifada, and if it's not being called an intifada right now, it soon will be. Maybe it's, I don't know if this is the third or the fourth intifada uprising. And Israel, well, when I wrote this, they said they did not know how many militants have entered, but now they said 60, it's not a really big number, into Israel, because I saw some map and it showed where these skirmishes were taking place, and it looked like, I don't know, about 50 of them. So I don't know if that number is very accurate at all. Oh, it's very windy here. And they've been entering by foot, by motorbike, by paragliders and pickup trucks. And they've captured even some military hardware. They've destroyed 2 tanks. And Israel has declared Operation Iron Swords, and they're bombing Gaza as we speak, as this video is being made. And Netanyahu has said Israel is at war, and reservists are being called up. So this is a really big thing going on right now, and who knows how long this is going to last. And Mike Jones from I Earl Grey, he posted that, well, that's something, I just added that on, that's nothing to do with Israel. But I'll talk about that in a second here. Let me finish up what I was saying about Israel. But this, Israel is normally the masters of using a lot of these, like some major event, you know, that takes control over the news. They've been using that as distractions all the time. So they are able to push some of their agendas through, which they didn't dare do previously because of public opinion. But now, since Israel is at least, and Palestine, of course, the conflict is leading what we would call the public opinion at the moment as far as what's going on in the world. It makes you wonder if either the United States or maybe even Russia, I don't know if Russia does that. I wonder if Russia, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on anyway. What I mean is not in Russia, but Russia, Ukraine. So it's not like anything that happens in that conflict is not going to be because of, a distraction, because it was already ongoing anyway. But the United States just think they can use this possibly as some means to help end this conflict in Ukraine, because it's very much in their advantage to do so, because they're not going to win. And as you see what's going on, the support for Ukraine is dwindling most everywhere. And let me add to that, while I'm saying so, it's also in my notes, and I'll have to make a pause whenever I get to that. But it's just appropriate right now that apparently this attempted assassination of the leader of the second strongest party in Germany, the Alternative for Deutschland party, the leader, apparently that is very much linked to Ukraine, as well as lots of threats against other AfD members. So it's because they want to stop the funding for Ukraine, that Germany stops sending weapons and funding Ukraine, the Ukraine war and all that. And of course Ukraine doesn't want that, and they see that their support possibly dwindling in the United States, and apparently they don't have that much of opportunity to sabotage the non-allocation of funds in the United States. So they are doing so in Germany right now. Boy, oh boy. And as you know, there's a lot of Ukrainians in Germany. Maybe a lot of them that did not want to fight. Not that they don't support the government, but maybe they are cowards and they don't like to fight, even though they support Ukraine. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't blame them, because it's certain death, really. If you're called up, as we see, they just shove them to the front line and they really don't care. These are, like I said, nasties, Nazis, and they really don't have that much respect, apparently, for any kind of life anywhere. So apparently that means they don't even have respect for their own supporters. Gosh, so much stuff going on. I can't walk anywhere. Cars coming and cars turning around, and looks like this, I don't know, they're not coming this way. Anyway, let's keep going here. So are they going to use this as a distraction or not? First that person was going to park there, and they decided somewhere else. Oh boy. Okay, and just a side note, I guess that's about all I really want to say about what's going on in out there, because this is an ongoing story. And I'll tell you, the last thing I guess I should say about that is Netanyahu, he has even less respect for the Palestinians than the leadership of Ukraine has for any human life. And what is going to happen is there's going to be a lot of bloodshed, There's going to be a lot of destruction, against the Palestinian people. But what was it that Gerald Celente one time said? Something like, those who have nothing to lose, lose it. When you've lost everything, you have nothing more to lose, then you lose it, I think is what he said. So a lot of these people are going to be doing a lot of suffering, and they're going to lose a lot. There's going to be a lot of homes destroyed, a lot of death. Netanyahu, like I said, he's not a very nice guy, and he doesn't have any respect at all for lives of Palestinians. So you can bet on that. That's a prediction. I had another prediction, and I didn't actually voice it just the other day when I was talking about what's going on in the House of Representatives when Kevin McCarthy was voted out. I wanted to say, but I didn't, that I was predicting that Jim Jordan might take his place, but I believe by that time Jim Jordan had already said he's not interested in taking that. But Trump is really pushing for that. Trump really likes Jim Jordan, and it's a very good chance that Jim Jordan may be, in a sense, forced into becoming the Speaker of the House of Representatives, because Jim Jordan, in a sense, he is the only choice. As you know, the Republicans have a majority in the House of Representatives, and they get to decide on who's going to be the Speaker more than anybody else. And that Jim Jordan, he commands respect from all Republicans, whether you be fully on the side of Trump, what do they call, the Freedom Caucus, or the non-Freedom Caucus. And he, even those that really, so to speak, love Kevin McCarthy, they also very much like Jim Jordan, and the Freedom Caucus very much supports Jim Jordan. So you might just see a situation where Jim Jordan will become the Speaker of the House, even if he doesn't want it. I think he might just be forced into doing it. That's going to be very interesting. Okay, so also in U.S. politics, Foreign Policy Committee, it says the head of the House Foreign Policy Committee, his name is Michael McCaul. Michael McCaul, he said, and it's also Senator Jim Risch. Looks like some African athletes there. A woman and a guy. Very nice. This country, let me add, while I'm at it right now, the Africans that come here, let me just say black people here are vastly, what do you say, vastly more, I don't know, they fit in a lot more than some of these people. Some, I'm not saying all, some of these people in the United States, you know, like these BLM people. But, you know, I've seen one woman here. She was not quite so friendly, but otherwise most all of them are, you know, very accommodating, very nice people. They're not like criminally, you know, you see some people with maybe some saggy pants and things like that, and but you know, that normally meant the wind, I hope you can understand me and hear me. That normally meant that you're a gang member when you have saggy pants. I was worked in a prison, and that's what that signifies. It's really windy here. Let me shut this off for a minute. Okay, I'm back. Just saw that looks like this is a hostel here. At least that's how it's pronounced in English. Hostel. So maybe they, I don't know, maybe the African athletes that I just saw are coming from here. Oh, some nice cars out here. So what was I saying? I don't even know. Okay, I was getting to this Foreign Policy Committee, and then there's a senator, Jim Risch, and the House Foreign Policy Committee leader, Michael McCaul, have demanded from Joe Biden, and of course there are also other House members and senators. You could always put Rand Paul in there as well, because he's definitely of this same opinion. But they said that they want to know that Joe Biden's strategy for Ukraine. And they say, what does victory look like? What is, you know, that sounds exactly like what Rand Paul would say. What does victory look like for Ukraine? And what does losing look like for Russia? Yeah, and they said that as long as it takes is not a strategy. So they want to know, they want some answers from Joe Biden. So as you see, the defunding of Ukraine has begun in the United States. And as you see also, what's going on is trying to assassinate leaders of the AfD, which are against the funding of Ukraine in Germany, has begun. So this is really something going on here. This is some real aggressive stuff in order to support this ideology. It has nothing to really do with Ukraine as a state. It has to do with supporting an ideology of hatred and racial supremacy. It's incredible. It's incredible. To support racial supremacy. What did Obama call it? At least on the side of the United States, it's Americans are the exceptional people. You know, old Adolf, he said, the master race for the Germans. And the Israelis, they say, God's chosen people. So whenever you see this sort of thing where certain people are saying they are more superior than other people, you know you're going to have some problems. And there's a lot of that going on. Look at what's going on in Israel and Palestine right now. Palestinians are also looked at as Untermenschen down there. And that's a major reason why these people are very, militant against the Israelis. And the Israelis, of course, are also taught that they are not just God's chosen people, but superior. It's terrible. You know, I wouldn't necessarily blame these people, but what sort of governments and what sort of entities teach these people to think that way? Terrible, terrible, terrible. Oh, look at this. A place with beer, Litskaya too. Bar, what is it? 357 Piva? Mocha? I have no idea. Bar 357. Never heard of it. It's not too far from where I live. It's a little way on. Well, so now let's go back to some of the other news that I had here. And this is also some startling news, people. What's going on? And I was talking a little bit last time about this. I don't know if you can call it an advancement. It is an advancement, but the Russian weapons are clearly now, at least those that we know about are clearly superior to those of the United States. The Sarmat missile, Здравствуйте. The Sarmat missile is now going into mass production in Israel. There's another missile coming. We'll get to that. The U.S. has now been caught. They have operatives, and of course they have those in Belarus as well. And it's only a matter of time of when they start turning these people on. What do they call them? Oh, Israel has some of these types of people too. But a lot of these countries, these real hostile countries that seek domination, they have, I tell you what, I turned the camera on. I haven't actually been talking about this for some time. And there's actually I guess a Hebrew name for that. But these people, they sit and they wait, and they have a certain amount of training, and when they're activated, you know, they go into action and they start causing problems in countries. And the U.S. has been at least found out in Georgia. They have these people, believe it or not, in Kazakhstan, quite a few in Kazakhstan, and they're actually a little bit more open than they are in a lot of other countries, much more open, of course, than they are in Belarus even. And, you know, the KGB, which is the security service here in Belarus, you know, they have pretty much got the number of all these people anyway. And I think a lot of them are under surveillance. More wind again. I don't know if it's a windy area or just a gust coming up. Let me stand over here. So, anyway, and this was reported by the Gray Zone, that the Republic of Georgia, I don't know if some of these people have been activated, but they want to overthrow the government there. And apparently Zelensky is also implicated in that. According to Steve Bannon, you know, he's the one that said that Ukraine is behind this assassination attempt of this leader of the AfD in Germany. And what was happening at that time is this leader was in a selfie session, you know, getting selfies done with people, and somebody came up with a with a syringe and put it in his arm, and injected some sort of a chemical into him. And one of the reasons why at least one of the reasons, I don't know, it doesn't sound like it, but why they suspect Ukraine is because Ukraine is the leader in creating these sort of chemicals that you can put into people's bodies and it's undetectable. So, really up on chemistry and biochemistry and all that, as you know, but we're not allowed to talk about that. Actually, I could, but I'll get a strike and I'll be gone for at least a week if I start talking about a lot of this stuff that gets put out. And I believe that's one reason why Mike Jones and John Mark Dougan is not with us anymore, because you're not allowed to talk about weapons and biological laboratories in conjunction with a certain country that is at war with Russia right now. So let's just put it that way. So you're not supposed to know about this. Isn't that incredible? Probably not allowed to know that the United States is also heavily involved, maybe with this sort of production. Let's just put it that way. Wow. But this AFD leader, he started feeling excruciating pain in his shoulder, and then he was hospitalized after that. And then, of course, all these other death threats, and some of them, they've had evidence that they're trying to carry it out also against AFD members of that party. And that's the second strongest party in Germany right now. And of course, the AFD pretty much is definitely the leading party in Saxony. And Saxony, it might be the most populous state. It's formerly East Germany. It might be the most populous state in Germany now, because it also includes, as far as it's also Chemnitz, but Leipzig. Leipzig was known as the fastest growing city in Germany. So, and I've been there a few times. It's never been to Chemnitz, but of course there's a lot of other very large cities there. So it's not like the most populated area. The Ruhrgebiet is the most populated area. That's where Essen is, and Dortmund and all that. That's where a lot of the steel production was, and mining of Germany. But that's, I believe, in the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. But still, it's not the most populous state there. Anyway. So, as I said, Ukraine is the most prevalent state in producing untraceable poisons. Okay, and Rand Paul, that's another good point. Rand Paul came out and said that Anthony Fauci should be in prison as a traitor. He said on Fox News. That was all over the internet, or at least on Telegram. Anthony Fauci should be in prison for treason. But normally for treason, I think it's you get the death penalty. So it's all about these mandates and masks and all the... I'm not, you can't say that this is all fake information, because I'd probably get suspended if I said that, so I won't say that. A lot of this stuff that they're putting out about masks and vaccines and things like that, I guess you have to do your own research. And I already mentioned Germany and Austria. I told you I'd get to that point. Industrial manufacturing. Well, a lot of these Chihuahua states and other ones, they're the ones that are leading this charge against Russia with all these sanctions. And of course, Germany was the main economic power in the European Union. And it's very odd that, after imposing these sanctions against Russia, the leading industrial power is doing the worst on planet Earth. And in spite of the sanctions, Russia is improving the most on planet Earth as far as industrial production. Yeah, isn't that strange? It's like, what comes to mind is, he who digs a hole will surely fall in it. So, incredible. Yeah, and Kazakhstan, I guess is also, it's in second place after Russia. It's a little bit behind Russia. It's not like Austria and Germany are kind of tied as far as their decline in industrial production, at least as a percentage-wise, even though Austria is not a really big industrial power within the European Union. But in Kazakhstan, they are sort of neutral, really. But That's where the West was trying to overthrow the government just some months before the military operation. Nobody's talking about that, but there was an attempt to overthrow the government of Kazakhstan just before the military operation began, I believe. And Belarus was even involved in that. First time I'd ever seen Belarus actually send any soldiers anywhere. Oh, look at this. There's some pretty plants here, and it's fall. Look at this. Nice vines. Strange thing is, I'm in a place with a dirt road, and it's not on the main street or nothing. It's just in a parking area. You see the garages here. And somebody having a lot of nice plants here. Even a truck there. It's Saturday, so maybe they're not working. Okay. Lukashenko has come out. This is the part I was mostly going to be talking about. Lukashenko, leader of this country, Belarus, has come out and said that the West is forcing Russia to use more and more devastating weapons. And what he's not saying is, and hopefully it won't be needed to say by anyone, is that Russia has now developed the most devastating nuclear capable missiles on the planet. And we all know about the Sarmat, which is a very, in my opinion, that's actually the most devastating weapon on Earth. This is one missile that can destroy probably someplace larger than the entire city of New York. One missile, and very easily, and go well beyond New York, I believe. I've heard some talk about how devastating that missile is, and it's just beyond comprehension. So let's not even talk about that. It's like talking in trillions of dollars. So, yeah, talking about trillions of dollars, I guess the profits, apparently, I don't know if it's profits or what is it, how do you call it, the GDP, or anyway, some sort of an expansion in China. They expanded over $1 trillion for this past year, even when they're saying that, oh, their economy is collapsing. Well, it gained $1 trillion over the previous year. And guess what? The United States has declined $1 trillion over the previous year. So I guess they're in tatters, I tell you, in tatters, the Chinese. My God. Makes you wonder what sort of information they're feeding us, you know. This country is collapsing. I don't know. You can't believe anything anymore. And that information comes from a Western source, believe it or not. So it's not coming from China. So let's get back to this missile, this Sarmat. You know, I tell you what, I know there's a washing machine that sounds, the name is something like Sarmat, and I'll bet you that old Ursula von der Leyen is trying to say, see, they name it after a washing machine, so that proves that they're getting computer chips from washing machines and they're putting it in their missiles. They call it even the Sarmat. Lavomat, I think. I don't know. I've heard some names that sound like Sarmat for washing machines. And not just that one, the new missile. This new missile is called Berevsknik, or another name, which we can probably remember a lot easier. It's called the Stormbringer. And there's even a couple other names. I guess that's how it's translated very possibly into the English language, Stormbringer. And not that much is actually really known about that. And I can tell you a lot about it, at least what I got for information, but you know, to say not much is known, I don't know if you need to know more than what the information that is already is known about that missile. And it's really something. Even though the Sarmat is a lot more devastating and destructive power, this other one has some capabilities that no missile on Earth has. It's well, I'll get into it. You can tell by yourself here. It's nuclear capable, just like the Poseidon missile, you know, Torpedo that I saw at the beginning of this. So in other words, it's got a nuclear reactor on the missile itself, just like the Torpedo called Poseidon. But the significance of this one, I don't know about the Poseidon. I should I shouldn't go, it's starting to rain a little bit, but I don't want to go in the dark. You won't see me so well, it'll be bad quality. So this missile, well, let's go. It's in no other arsenal, and nothing like this is in any arsenal on planet Earth. And it's a response to when George Bush, in 2001, he withdrew from the ABM Treaty of 1972, the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty. And now the US is saying that Russia has to get rid of. Isn't that incredible? Russia was not developing any kinds of these missiles, even though they had some sort of not plans, but they had from the past, and then they just, stuck them in a closet somewhere. And now, since the U.S. Withdrew from this treaty, they took them out again and started saying, okay, well then let's start going at this. But I believe it was most of this missile. They started to create this thing in 2018, this new one. And the U.S. is now, as you know, crying that Russia has to get rid of their hypersonic missiles. And that's because the U.S. has not yet, try as they might, they have not really been able to come up with a hypersonic missile to match Russia's. So they're saying it upsets the balance of power. But anytime the U.S. comes up with something, there's no way they're going to get rid of it, even though it upsets the balance of power. And Russia always has to react to it. Starlink is one example of that. So, the Stormbringer. The advantage is, and this is incredible, that it can stay in flight for weeks. So you launch this missile, and some people are even predicting that this can stay up for more than a month. You launch it, and it can stay in flight for over a month. And it's called Loitering. It has a loitering capability, which means that it has an unlimited range. It can fly around the Earth 4 and 5 times, as a minimum. Just do circling around the Earth continuously. And Russia can launch it, of course, then from any other direction, So you can attack, say, for example, Fort Hood. You can attack from over the North Pole, through the Gulf of Mexico, off the coast of Newfoundland, and also from the West Coast, from California, right off the coast of California. They can fire this missile from those areas. Wow. And it can fly as low as 50 meters, which means it's invisible to radar. So the U.S. can't track it. The only time this missile can be detected is at launch time. So, and if Russia can launch these things from virtually any point on the globe, anywhere, they can launch it off the coast of Antarctica if they want. And if the U.S. does not have an active satellite looking at those areas, they're not going to catch this missile, and then they're not going to see this missile. And it can fly, like I said, as low as 50 meters, and it can avoid objects. So if there's a building in the way, it can go around the building. It can go a circle around the building and then keep going on its path. It has a endless maneuverability, and it has endless flight time. And it's what do you say? It's nuclear powered and nuclear capable. So this is a very devastating weapon. I don't know what kind of speeds. They never mentioned that it was hypersonic, but if it's undetectable, it doesn't even have to be hypersonic. Incredible. So it can be in a holding pattern for weeks even. So it can be flying circles around New York City, and even at a low altitude, and avoiding buildings. So the U.S. can't even track it. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. So, and I wrote something. Where was it? They haven't started mass producing this, and it's very possible that Russia can use this as a bargaining point to get the United States to sign treaties. But I tell you what, I wouldn't trust the United States to hold their word. If they sign some sort of a treaty, they're gonna. It's just like when they backed out of some. It might have even been which agreement was that? I think it was very recent, and the United States backed out of some agreement. I believe it was during Obama's time. I can't remember what agreement that was, but immediately they had some sort of a missile that the that this agreement prohibited, and they just came up with it immediately. In other words, they were already developing it for years, even though the treaty demanded that they don't develop this missile. So in other words, they were doing it in secret for a long time, the United States. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So the United States will use this again if Russia is able to get them to the bargaining table to sign, for example, another anti-ballistic missile treaty. Russia, don't be stupid. So I wouldn't be using it for that. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be making any agreements with the United States or anybody in the West, because they don't honor agreements anymore. This is a terrible age we're living in, but that's the reality of it all right now. And all of you know that. Anybody on this site knows that stuff. So it's no Trump card. Even if Trump himself would probably honor an agreement, the rest of them don't. And Trump isn't going to, if he ever makes president, he's not going to be there forever. So, I have it written in here somewhere, but where did I have it? I don't know. But can you imagine if the U.S. threatens Russia, and then Russia has one of these missiles circling New York City for a few weeks? Can you imagine the panic? It's incredible. So there's a video posted by Steve Bannon, and it shows a CNN interview. This is different. This is not about the missile. That's the end of the missile part of my presentation here. But anyway, Steve Bannon, and I believe other people have posted this as well. Hillary Clinton, she's coming out. Obviously, Hillary Clinton is going. She's getting herself in the news very often lately, and it's obvious that there's some sort of a plan going on, and it's very possible that old Joe Biden is not going to be running for president, but I'll bet you that old Hillary is going to be stepping in. I'm just guessing. We haven't heard that much lately about Gavin Newsom, so I think he's out of it, or any other real Democrat. Michelle Obama? No, I don't think that was realistic anyway. But I'll tell you what, I think that old Hillary, she might be going against probably Donald Trump. And of course, they're trying to take out Donald Trump, but it hasn't worked so far. I don't know. Maybe not even the corrupt judges that they put in charge are able to come up with any kind of a shred of evidence that would be, could be presented to the people as being any plausible at all. So Hillary Clinton, anyway, CNN interviewed Hillary Clinton, and she's saying that the stronger supporters of Donald Trump need to be sent to a reprogramming camp. This is incredible. To be mentally reprogrammed because they're like brainwashed or something like that. But when you talk about that, isn't it strange that virtually the entire media, including most of Fox, because the owners of Fox are actually supportive of the Democrats and the liberals, even though they still have some remnants of people, what they call right-wing or conservative, that are still, broadcasting on Fox. So all of these networks are virtually pro-liberal. Facebook, pro-liberal. Hollywood, pro-liberal. I mean, you can even look at the military. Look at the U.S. military. I mean, God, Google, look at YouTube. You can't go too far on YouTube. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's going to be coming to that at some point in time. They control all the schools. Look at this. You have trans teachers, fake, what's that guy in the shop? A shop teacher with big fake breasts and a wig or something like that. Oh, look at this. Where is it? Oh, nice. You have a nice sweatshirt there. What? Oh, you're pretty vicious. Oh, you're. Okay. And not only that, The liberals also even control the school systems. But yet, how did these Trump supporters get brainwashed when these Democrat liberals control virtually the entire system in the United States? How did that happen? Whoa, look at this wind here. Oh. And the Democrats, the Republicans, all they have is a very slim majority in the House of Representatives. So obviously the executive branch, Biden, he's a liberal Democrat, neoconservative, as I say, He's a neoconservative, and he's also a liberal. He's the one that put, what was this, the Secretary of the Interior or something, has some man that wears dresses and lipstick. They just appointed him, I guess, what was it, yesterday, Friday? Some guy, mustached, big, kind of a tall guy that likes to wear women's dresses. I think he's the wife of another guy that also wears dresses, by the way. So they have, isn't it? It's kind of incredible. Two men wearing dresses and lipstick. I guess they're, I don't know, are they lesbians? How can they be? You got me confused. That's how it is. The world is a confusing place nowadays, people. So, anyway, the Republicans only have a slim majority in the House of Representatives. The Democrats control the Senate. They control the executive branch. They control everything. And so how did all these Trump people get brainwashed, supposedly? And consider even McCarthy sending money to Ukraine, which he was all in favor of. Technically speaking, that is not a conservative value. War is not a conservative value. War could be considered more of a liberal thing, because the definition of conservative is like a resistance to change. Well, going to war is a change. It's a change for stability. And stability is more like what the conservatives are actually for, so can't argue with me on that one. The liberals also control the military. Now you can be a transgender in the military. Can you imagine? What if we went to war with Russia? What if, and then say the Russians win some sort of a battle and take some Americans hostage, and here they are in a prisoner of war camp, and the American soldiers are demanding that they have a right to, these male U.S. soldiers are demanding they have a right to lipstick and tampons, because it's inhuman not to grant them tampons, because they can get pregnant, I suppose. And I guess they have periods, according to them. So, isn't that incredible? What kind of a crazy world are we living in, people? Well, being in Belarus, things are a little bit different. And if I say this stuff to people in Belarus, they actually don't believe me. They don't believe me. There are other, people that are like I am, that are from the West. My benefactor that I'm going to be broadcasting with, the man with the plan, he says the same thing. He says when he's telling Belarusians about this stuff, they don't believe him. They don't believe that there's such craziness going on. But you got to show them the photos of men with mustaches, with lipstick and wearing women's dresses and things like that. A lot of people, like even myself, I can't keep thinking, is that a joke? Or is that just a joke, these guys doing this? I think even Rudy Giuliani, many, many years ago, he dressed up as a woman or something, but I guess that was a joke. But, jeez, I don't know. What does he think about that now that he did that? So, who knows what's going to be happening next? So let me also talk about what's going on with myself as well. This project of broadcasting, it's going to be apparently a little bit like Joe Rogan, and it's going to be a little bit like Redacted, maybe. And of course, it's going to have its own flavor. It's inevitable that you do that. That things work that way. You get your own flavor involved. Because it's not going to be the same room and the same people and the same equipment and things like that. So it's going to have its own flavor. I like the room in Redacted. A very, very cheery. I think he's got a guitar in the background, some soft, warm lights. Yeah, that would be nice. Okay. But also, I should add to that, I found out that the other venue that I will possibly have a chance to be broadcasting at, that's also still a go. It's just that it's having a little bit more difficult time getting set up because it's only going to be for a short time, and it will, I believe, be broadcast on YouTube to see how long that lasts, depending on what I talk about, things I'm not allowed to talk about, and I'm not even sure that the benefactors of that know exactly what you're not allowed to say on YouTube, so it could be suspended and eventually canceled if I'm talking about the wrong things. I guess it's probably up to me to make sure that I don't talk about the wrong things. And I should know by now, and they probably expect that I should know what I'm not allowed to speak about. So if it does get suspended, like for a week and then 2 weeks and then for good, it will be my fault, of course. I guess I'm going to have to be careful about that. So that's one thing there. But as I'm saying, it's having a little bit more of a because it's only a short time, and these people do some other broadcasts, and mine's it's not that much time. I think the other ones have priority because they are half-hour and maybe 1 hour programs, and they're trying to get that off because this is the fall season, and as you know, fall is when new programs come about. Like series start running again. They stop the reruns, and of course the new ones come out in the autumn time. And this, I believe, was supposed to be getting off the ground maybe around the 1st of October, but it didn't happen that way. So, but as I said, the other ones are more important, so they need to get off the ground first, and then hopefully I'll still be fit in right afterwards. You never know. Maybe this will start getting off the ground maybe within a week. We'll find out. Anyway. Well, that's about all I have to say today. Actually, I have a lot to do, and I haven't been getting it done. So here I am. I better get moving. And thank you all for joining me. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Bye-bye.